So thank you for coming this evening, everyone. I know it's compulsory for a lot of you, but thanks anyway. We're the MakerBot team. I'm JJ in this list, and me and Verada will be doing the presentation tonight. So we are here to talk about MakerBot and our product release, which is MakerNet. You may already know MakerBot as a hardware making 3D printer company. This is a way we can reach into a software market that we feel is not yet tapped and potentially pretty lucrative. So let's first talk about the problem statements that we as MakerBot have. One is that I like 3D printing. I would love to own a 3D printer, but geez, that upfront cost of $2,000 is pretty steep, hard to get into. And I fear that if I buy it, much like a lot of the other really cool things that I own, it's going to sit sort of unutilized in the corner. That's a big problem. The other side of the equation is there are people out there that would like to have some 3D printed objects, but there are not a lot of places they can go where they can get a really large variety of objects with guaranteed consistent quality, like a big company is involved, and that the price is affordable. There's a lot of places to go, but not all of the places to go that meet all these criteria. We want to offer a chance to change that. So let's talk very briefly about what's changed. A couple things that came out of our kind of deeper market research is that, one, there is not a problem with obtaining models in the marketplace. Originally, we thought maybe we needed to figure out a way to make modeling easier, something like that. Sort of the feedback we got from people was like, you don't need to attack that. I can get models. There are a million places by which to obtain models. And we own Thingiverse, which is the largest repository of models, so models is not what we should be looking at. Secondly, and this was a big one, they're less price conscious than we thought. We were really trying to cut low, shave very thin, make very little off every transaction, really get down there and compete with like Amazon level pricing for objects. We were told really not necessary. People understand 3D printed stuff costs more than mass manufactured stuff, and therefore they are more than willing to pay just a bit higher, not ridiculously higher, but we were able to adjust our pricing models pretty dramatically with this piece of information and hit a target that both the sellers and the prospective buyers we talked to were really excited about. Lastly, the market for the 3D printed filament, basically the ink that runs these printers, is far more voracious than we anticipated. And we found that when we offered to throw in a discount on the filament for signing up with us, that there was a real excitement about that because they're like, yeah, I will go through filament like there's no tomorrow. I need 16 different colors for all the projects I want. I need a lot of filament. Give me a way to get it cheaper. I want that. So based on that, I'm going to hand this off to Verada, who's going to explain a little bit about where we're coming from.
Thank you, Gigi. This is part of what we explained last time. So for the new judges, this might be something new, but some of you have already seen this. MakerNet is basically going to be a marketplace that connects the printer owner with the buyer. So printer owner can print, earn money printing, and the buyer can get the objects that they want. A typical e-commerce site, the printer owner will register as a seller, the buyer will place an order when they want a new object, there will be order notification going on, there will be some intelligence built into the system to say, okay, this guy has this sort of printer, so we can maybe print this, but not a bigger object. So there will be some of that. So this buyer will say, okay, hey, I want to do this. I want to claim this order. So the order will be claimed. At that time, we'll allow him to print the shipping labels. So we want to take the businessy or the printing, shipping, all of the to-do tasks a little out of the way. We want the printer owner to really have fun printing. That's what this is about. So we'll send them shipping labels. They will do the job of printing, shipping, send it. The buyer will confirm, hey, I received it, and then we'll release payment. So typical cycle there. This is not the MVP, this is the full MakerNet. What we did while talking to customers is we took this idea, we had some very rough sketches, we explained this to them just to get their feedback, just to collect their insight into it. And there were some very surprising things that they told us. One of them was 3D printing and modeling is not a big problem. I like doing it, I enjoy doing it, I know where to get my models from. And so that was something new that came up. They don't want us to really price it very, very low because they understand this is a marketplace where people are okay paying a higher price and they are okay also dealing with that. The biggest thing for us, which was really very exciting for us, and my favorite one, is this right here that says every person that we talked to gave us very high level number on the excitement. They said this is 8 to 9 out of 10 exciting. This is really what we want. Somebody like MakerBot, who's a known name in the 3D printing industry, backing up this marketplace is really, really excited about. So that's what we got it here. Based on this new information, we did our revenue projections again, and we feel like in the next 5 years, we are really going to be contributing significantly to the revenue of MakerBot as a bigger company. And we are told because of this, we are being given some seed money to accelerate the process of going to market. The way we are planning to use that seed money is, this is a two-sided problem where we have a seller side and a buyer side. We already know a lot about the buyer side. We know the market exists. We know people are out there wanting to buy 3D prints. So we are thinking we will use that seed money to do more marketing and attract that crowd to MakerNet. But our MVP and the hypothesis and the proving of that hypothesis will mainly focus on the seller equation of this. So that's what we are going after. So the hypothesis we are trying to prove with our MVP is 3 things. First, people who own MakerBot printers are really interested in becoming sellers. This is the basic requirement. Second is, whatever they print is really good quality, because we want to support the buyer side also. We want to make sure they get good quality prints. And the third is our hypothesis, which we have got clear pointers to, but we want to validate with numbers, is the filament sales go up because somebody is becoming seller. So now they are utilizing their printers more. They are buying different colors, different filaments, so we see a growth in that sales. So these are the 3 things we are trying to prove with our MVP. This is our MVP proposal, which is looking very similar to the actual MakerNet, but a lot of it is going to be just we acting as the buyer. So this side is not really developed at all, the buyer piece. We are going to reach out to existing MakerBot printer owners. We already have their information. We're going to reach out to them with an offer to join MakerNet as a seller. When they say, yes, I want to become seller, we'll send them an email order, which will be just us ordering some objects just to see, okay, what they print, what's the quality, what's the response we get, so that kind of a deal. When they claim the order, we'll send them shipping labels, which is basically shipping to us, and we pretending to be the buyers really. When they print and ship, we'll do a lot of research on the finished quality, on the time that it took to get that print done, and the handling of the product and all such things. And once they complete the transaction, we'll release payment. So for the seller, it will look like it's the real deal, real MakerNet, but we'll pretend to be on the other side as the buyers, and we'll do that job. So this is what we are thinking our MVP with. The metrics we are trying. So the metrics we are trying to gather for MVP is number of printer owners who will sign up. So that's the big deal for us to say, okay, they are really interested. We are going to compare their filament sales, filament orders, what they were ordering before versus after becoming sellers, how much they are ordering. We are going to test the objects for quality and finish. We are going to test the delivery speed, handling. So we are going to make sure that the process works right. We also want to take a stab and do a little A/B testing between 2 sets of sellers to see what is the price point that brings most engagement, what gets them excited, and what level of discount is most viable. So what is it that gets them excited but doesn't create a loss for us? So that's what we're trying to do.
Are you talking about filament sales there?
Yes.
So I have a question on this. Is this a test? Is this like a sample of MakerBot owners that would be invited to participate in this, or is this everybody gets
Not
invited?
everybody. Just
Okay.
just a select few that we will reach out to them.
How are you going to choose those participants?
We are going to just do really random sampling because we don't want to restrict based on geography or based on some certain criteria. We also want to get a mix of people owning different printers, so smaller printers versus bigger printers. So we are going to do a sampling across different conditions just to make sure we get data which is really correct.
Yeah, and we also sort of using customers we know already buy filament from us, so we can compare if the filament how much the bifilament really goes up or not.
That one I'm confused by, because that ultimately is driven by end user volumes and demand. And so if you're pretending to be the end user, then you're controlling that. You are the input that will control the filament sales.
Filament they can buy from other sources. We want to see, basically we're offering them a discount on filament if they enroll in MakerNet. And we want to see if they enroll in MakerNet really drive them to buy more filament from us.
So really, you don't want to compare filament order volumes, but you want to do conversion rate and sort of loyalty with respect to this offer and the extent to which the.
Because buying filament from another source requires more effort on their part when they get the filament, because it's not going to be on the spool that fits on our machine, so they're going to have to wind it by hand. But if they buy from us, they get it pre-spooled. So, you know, it's like, can we give them a discount that says, you know what, it's worth it now, I don't have to do this extra level of work.
Okay.
Didn't you say that the printer owners won't know that this is actually MVP and you guys are the real buyers, right?
Well, they won't know that we're not real buyers, but they will know that it is a, alpha launch. Please don't distribute all the details of how this works to everyone. Please don't tell everyone on Facebook that this is what's up,
So,
the typical kind of verbiage that comes with like a beta program.
right, so you obviously will be creating artificial demand
Yes.
for them to go meet, right?
Because we don't want to bring in real demand and not have anyone that wants to actually print for us, right? We need the people willing to print first.
Got it. Have you anticipated what may happen to the printer owners after they are released to the real demand after the MVP?
Well, it's sort of like a participation is going to be kind of based on, one, how many people actually come in and want to buy things, and two, your region. I mean, if we're going to be doing shipping sort of based geographically on where you're located, so that we don't have someone in Alaska getting his stuff shipped to him from Florida when there was someone else already in Alaska with a printer that could have printed it for him, that sort of thing. So, I mean, there will be some people that will probably be a little underserved for demand, but since it's not costing them anything to join MakerNet, we're not specifically damaging them with their membership.
When you think about all the selection criteria that you have for this test, do you have an idea of how many producers or how many members you're going to be enrolling in this to participate in, so that you cover all the different devices and it's a random sample that's not biased towards one?
Yeah, we didn't think we were going to have to exceed more than 500. Just because, one, there's not a huge, gigantic install base of printers out there. We're not talking millions and millions of printers sold, right? So we're hoping to get a pretty good cross-section. There's only really about 5 different SKUs, I think, total of printers that we're addressing with this MVP. We only want to pull from the last 2 generations of printers. We don't want super, super old printers because they're not as able to produce the same quality as modern day ones. So we do have limiting criteria based on that.
And what is the total cost of that test relative to the kind of revenues that you're forecasting? Just
So,
rough order of magnitude.
order of magnitude. Well, the cost of the test we think is going to be relatively inexpensive. We just really want to get some metrics on. We sent out 500 orders. 360 of them came on time. Like 180 of them came late. 30 of them were so badly printed that they were unusable. We need to understand, like, can we trust the community of MakerBot owners? Are they a trustworthy provider? Obviously, in all of our interviews for MakerBot owners, they're like, yeah, we bought these because we're into the 3D printing community. We want to do this. We think it's cool. But that's talk, and we would like some real metrics to back up all of that goodwill community talk from our owners.
So the thing I'm struggling with is I'm not sure why you consider that an MVP. Because I think I get the desire to test. If you want to validate that this is a good supplier, right? This person can print that, and I understand that. But what I don't understand is why you would hold in a private round with no customers coming through, which prevents you from simulating customer demand and flow to these people, and instead just do an extensive onboarding and not with each merchant. Like each merchant must. This is a test. To be part of this program, we're going to send you 3 test orders before you get a real order. You have to execute on certain criteria for each of the real order. Once you pass this test at the quality you want, you go straight into the program. And just be upfront with that. And then, because I think the key thing is, the other problems you might run into is you super well this demand, you have 500 vendors, and on day 1, 1 order gets placed. On day 5, 10 order gets placed. You know what I mean? So that's why I'm struggling with that. Have you thought about that path as well?
We have a little bit. We have, thankfully, we're in the advantage that we already attract a very large amount of hits to a site we own called Thingiverse. So when we go live, per se, we want to put the ability to join MakerNet and print objects from Thingiverse right up on Thingiverse to help drive demand. So if I go to look at a model on Thingiverse and there's like, oh, I can get this off MakerNet right now. It could literally be here in less than a week if I click this button. So we're kind of hoping the fact that we already have such a highly Alexa ranked site that is drawing all these interested people that we'll be able to sort of leverage that to create the demand. And also because we're such a small company, being MakerBot, we don't have lots and lots of money to throw around, so we're just trying to approach it from a way that's just going to pull the least out of pocket and be not real risky if it turns out that it just really is not viable for us at all.
It might make sense to extend that point further from Kevin. It might make sense to go to the other side of the MVP as well, on the buyer side, just to be able to prove out on a realistic level the demand frequency that you might be getting. So you can still keep yourself in the middle, satisfy the demand yourself instead of exposing the network to it, but keep building the network on the other side. So on a limited level, I think you can probably still try to do the MVP on both sides instead of just on one side.
Yeah, we have less of a comprehensive database of buyers. We already know everyone that owns a print. We have all their metrics. We know who they are, we know where they live, we know how to reach them. And we just weren't sure that we had an easy way to find buyers to introduce into a beta.
The best database we have of buyers is Thingiverse, people who are registered with Thingiverse.
Yeah, so
But
maybe
we-
could try something through there perhaps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Final slides, and then let's get the questions.
Okay. The next few slides, I actually put the prototype in there, and maybe I can just rush them through. Yeah. So this is where you get to register as a seller. You get to register your printer. Most of this we already know. We have already pre-populated. These are the options you'll get. And here is where you see, hey, there is an order. Go ahead and claim it. When you claim your order, you get to print the label, and that's how you do it. After this, I'm going to hand it back to JJ so we can walk you through the development methodology and roll back really quickly.
Okay, and I know we're pressed for time, so I'll keep this quick. So we took, obviously, a look at the methodologies out there. Agile was a pretty easy choice over Waterfall because since we are online, we need that quickness of feedback that you're only going to get. And we chose Scrum over Kanban because we found that in general, Scrum gives you an easier time figuring out when you're going to release. And having launch dates on this is going to be really important. And it also seemed to be a little easier to give the control over Adam and everyone's favorite words of will haves, might haves, won't haves, right? So we found that that was a little easier with Scrum versus Kanban, which is why we decided for this that we will use Agile Scrum as our methodology. So let's jump right here into the roadmap. As you can see, this is not a very long timeline because we are not talking about reinventing rocket science here. This is a relatively easy development task. So we're going to test the supply side response. You know, get 100 prints done. That's going to have us go ahead and ramp up the next phase of development. We're going to hope to come out officially here in June. And we have 25% of our target printers. If we get them working, signed up, we're going to consider that a win for this phase of the process. Of course, the next big question I always get is, what are you going to do about crooked people? What are you going to do about prints not coming? That's why dispute resolution system is as early as we can possibly work it into the process. We'll probably use an existing ticketing system and just tie it into our Thingiverse login system that we use for MakerNet. Then we want to move to a more robust online support. Online chat 24/7. We'll actually have to bring on some more support staff here at MakerBot. And then our last opportunities that we think will be really valuable to us. One, premium models, where we get professional models, maybe that work in the games industry or something like that, to come on our site, do a nice art piece, and offer it on MakerNet for a small kickback. And then secondly is our retail partnerships. Perhaps we do Adventure Time or Sesame Street or Disney. We partner with them, let people print a Mickey Mouse. We kick some back to Disney and maybe get a little bit out of ourselves. Just again to keep attracting people to find out that Thingiverse is a really cool place so you can come get things. And then lastly, our metric on that is just simply getting those premium models available in MakerNet. So by September 2015, we think we can have this mostly up and running, and then it's just going to be getting feedback, aggregating that, adding more features as we go. So not a real long development cycle for something of this magnitude. And thank you. That was our pitch.
All right,
The MVP.
class feedback input first. Okay, judges, likes, and push. You were time crunched at the end, but I thought you did a nice job kind of ramming through the roadmap and things that were important through stage. I like seeing the metrics on the slide. Should we have a little more time there, but that's okay. This feels like a lot of really excellent progress in the past 3 months. So I'm just going to say that.
I agree, I mean, it was really great, and I think the last time I saw to what I see today, it's definitely a great step up.
Good.
What-
Thank you, guys.
One thing that I might note is I actually think your MVP could be built without actually ever being built. Like, you could do it in Google Docs, you could
Well,
do it
yeah,
with
that's
Yes.
the
a basic
original.
WordPress site
Yes.
or something, right? That doesn't
Exactly.
actually require any.
We were sort of inspired by I think it's the Zappos story
Yes.
of how they just ran across the street to buy shoes from the store and then came over and
Yeah.
shipped them themselves in a
It's totally fake
Zappos box.
technology, but it validates the
Right.
demand.
And again, since we are kind of a small company as far as the companies in this room go, we thought maybe we should approach this from like, let's not spend a lot of money trying this. What can we do cheaply? What can we do to prove
Right.
the theory
If you're
before we
pitching-
dump in the resource?
If you're pitching internal executives, point that out, right? Like, that we're not actually gonna be building anything here, and we're gonna be validating the full market demand, and our only real expenses, other than maybe a couple of developers for a couple of weeks, will be in paying for the printouts.
Yes.
So,
Yeah, along the lines, if you're looking for a way to sort of sweeten the pot a little bit, if you're a small company that's bootstrapping already, thinking of ways of running your MVP while you're actually making real money with real buyers is a really nice idea. And so while it's sort of it muddies the water a little bit on a perfectly clean MVP on a whiteboard, it might be a much more compelling way to get things started in a controlled environment while you're actually building a base of customers that are happy because you're holding their hand.
Ultimately, our goal too is, I mean, while this will make money, we have a pricing model, we have ability to generate revenue on this. The real goal is we want to sell more printers, right? We're a hardware company. We want to move hardware. We employ a ton of hardware engineers. We need to keep them working. So everything about this is from the approach that we probably have a really small development team. We probably don't have lots of talent inside the company to do things with, and sort of approached it from that angle, thinking our expertise is making printers.
Okay. What are you going to do with the seed money again? It was clear that you
For
wanted to use it.
advertising on the buyer side, so we can make sure we generate that interest, tap into thingy
Right, we
people,
can
and
talk to what Kevin was saying was, why don't you attract some buyers? That's what we actually really want to use the seed
Gotcha.
money
That's
for,
what
like,
you meant, right,
let's
okay.
take that out and put the ads up on, because, when you put an ad up on your own site, it still costs you money, right? So,
Good. Okay, thank you. Sorry, I gotta play.
sorry guys.